and welcome. I'm Cher, the Shadow Walker, and today I'm taking a look at spider humanoids or crawlers. These things really creep me out. I have the ability to sense spiders outside or inside a building, and so I'm wondering whether I was around them, whether I'd sense them. I feel like they're staring at me. And sure enough, if I turn around, there's a spider. So I'm just wondering whether that would happen if I was to see one of these. These are one of the cryptoids I have not seen, but they fascinate me and I'm afraid of them. So, regional hotspots. While the Western mountains are active with spider humanoids, they have a tendency to move across the Canadian Shield. So they're right across Canada. British Columbia, the Pitt Lake area, and the Coquihalla corridor seem to be a hotspot. This is the primary hub for what they call spider bat variant of a humanoid with leathery joint appendages. Now, there was a photo taken near Tumbler Ridge, BC, in 2026, a trail camera captured a low light frame of a pale, elongated limb reaching out of a cedar tree at the edge of the forest at an angle impossible for a bear or a cougar. It has been saved as T-crawler image in local circles. I'm going to see if I can find that picture. In Ontario, the Nickel Belt, Sudbury, so that's a heavy mining area, right? A pale crawler variety dominant here. So there's another type of them there. So there's different species in different areas. They're tall, thin, with a translucent white image to them. These humanoids move on all fours and they make a glitchy gait. Now, the glitchiness is because, like with beetles, the hard shell, so you hear that, but they're not going to leave a footprint, which is why I think that they are what's mutilating the cattle, whether they are sent to do that from their own planet, because I don't believe they're originally from here, and the translucentness to them. So when we're looking at mutilations, I believe this is just the science side of me, that a swab should be taken for digestive enzymes that are either foreign, alien to any species known on Earth, because I believe that they have the ability to inject a digestive enzyme into their victim, in which they dissolve the organs inside and suck them out. Now, there's no way you're going to hear them coming unless they want you to hear the click. They can be totally silent. And their venom, perhaps, that they spray could cause some sort of paralysis, or they have the ability with a certain vibration to paralyze different types of creatures. So, in Sudbury and Elliott Lake, I grew up going up there in the fall for hunting season to stay at my aunt's while my father went out to the hunt camp. So I'm quite familiar with the area. So it's high in minerals and uranium deposits. My uncle used to be one of the heads in one of the mines up there, and my dad used to work as a geological surveyor. So that's what fascinated me about the rocks and the energies that they give, and why I correlate this all together with my psychic abilities. So the correlation here is electrical interference. Car engines and cell phones often die seconds before these entities are seen scuttling across a road. So they are giving off some sort of electro interference with vehicles, with batteries, and I'll bet you, like I just said, they can do it with animals to stun them. Now, in Quebec, in the Chic-Choc Mountains, the Gaspésie region, which is where my parents were born and my whole family was raised down there, reports here are linked to entities, Winjamid, legends, witness described shallow spider human-sized silhouettes that do not reflect light and appear to unfold from rock crevices. Because if you go across Canada, like I have numerous times, 'cause I've been all over Canada, and we like to get into the backcountry of Canada, my husband and I. So we've seen a lot of unusual things, but we've never seen a spider humanoid. What I have noticed is in a lot of areas, like say for instance in Nova Scotia, there are caves down there over towards Wolfville and out towards the Bay of Fundy that you can rappel down to and get amethysts. Absolutely beautiful gems. So there's all over the place. There's different areas where there's caves and canyons, like there is out here. There's the Horseshoe Canyon, there's Horse Thief Canyon, and basically everywhere out here, that's all you see is these canyons. I'm surrounded right now by hoodoos, so it's possible that these things could be attached and in one of these either mining shafts or in a cave that's just a natural formation and you wouldn't even see it. I do believe that they're like a chameleon, they're able to blend themselves into their environment with a camouflage that's, I'm going to say, better than most species we have here on Earth, simply because they're very hard to detect. And if they can sneak up on a farm silently and mutilate a calf 50 feet away from a farmer, I'm telling you now that these things can make themselves almost invisible, and to the naked eye, we just can't see them. So, animal mutilations. So there's no mechanical fingerprints left by these entities. So we're not seeing anything, but we are noticing that that when one of these animals, cattle, there's a lot of deer here that have been mutilated in the Horse Thief Canyon that people find with these cuts on them that are surgically done. So there's no blood fluids and appears to be vacuumed out through a single punch hole. That is why I'm sticking with my theory that this whole incident of mutilations is coming from these spider humanoids. And I think the more that farmers, the more that ranchers, the more that people who see these type of creatures speak out, and you can email me, my email's on my page, or email and let somebody know. But the more we speak out and the more incidents we get of this that are pronounced, people aren't hiding, they're saying, hey, this happened here, or hey, I've seen this. It's going to help us to identify these cryptids that are not identified. And we need to push for our Canadian government to recognize them. And I do believe for the farmers that a sonar frequency that bats hate, that spiders hate, because I have spider clips that go into the wall. It's a frequency that they hate so that you don't get spiders in your house. Here in the hoodoos, some people's houses are loaded with them. We have none. So, and it's like down in the East Coast. The wolf spiders in the West Coast are smaller than the wolf spiders in the East Coast. And I know that people down in the East Coast know what I mean when I talk about the size of a wolf spider. I've seen them bigger than a loony in body size, and there's nothing that scares me in life. And there's nothing that I jump more for than a spider. I just don't like spiders. I can handle demons, ghosts, entities. You can throw anything from the paranormal at me, and I'm used to it. But spiders, I do not like. So, but I am fascinated by them. And they focus on eating the eyes, the tongue, the genitals, and they cauterize the edges. So I'm thinking this is, it's not ripped or crushed. It's just very I'm going to say elegantly and precisely removed. So that's why I think, and the way that they use their venom to, how would we put it? They use their venom to emulsify the organs, to have them dissolve so that they can absorb them. I think that's a skill that we don't see here in too many species. I know there are some spider species that do it, and I know there are some reptile species that do it. So when I was looking into these at first, my science mind right away went to the reptile. So that's why I think that they should be looking for a digestive enzyme that may or may not be from a species known to man, but it definitely is creating and doing this. So you're going to be swabbing all around the exterior of that area and internally in that area. And also, there have been farmers right across Canada that have been noting that there are marks on their animals, not just cattle, horses, sheep, that are made by an unknown substance. So I think that substance needs to be looked at too to see if these things are leaving some sort of residual behind that we're not seeing, and even on the ground. And although I'm not a fan of EMF, being a psychic, I don't need to use anything like that. But I have looked at the EMF readers and tried a few. I have a few friends that have different ones. And what I have noticed is like they'll pick up the electricity, the electromagnetic fields in rocks. They pick it up in the walls of your house from wires. In old houses, they're bound to pick it up if there's knob and tube. So the accuracy of them in saying that there's a ghost there, it's not that accurate, people. And I know there's going to be backlash from that, but I'm telling you, as a psychic who doesn't need anything, when I walk into a room and I'll say, there's nothing here. If there's nothing there, there's nothing there. I'm not going to fabricate it. What's the sense? That's not what my gift is all about. But if I was to walk into that room again with that meter may go off, and I know there's nothing there. Yet all the other people think there's something there. And that's because of the electrical wires in the walls that connect with this machine that they have. So if you can take one of these out and you're going to get higher readings, right now is not the best time after we had the meteor um, and the lunar eclipse that we had, specifically because there's a lot of static left in the ground right now. So you're bound to get any type of reading. But if you scan with a fluorescent light to see if you can see this substance on the field, maybe you can track it back to the area that it lives. So maybe some type of black light or something that can illuminate and find a path of where these things are living. I have no idea how what to do with them. And you know that there's no paw prints and there's no fur. And these things have been known in some countries to jump because they have almost like a translucent wing type to their appendages that they can fly through the air in a leap. So a leap can go over 50 feet easy. And so they could leap from an area right to, say, a cow and do their mutilation of the animal, and then just leap right off in a matter of seconds, and nobody's going to see them. So I think that that's something that farmers should be looking for. Okay, the webbing. In This was interesting. In 15% of Horse Thief Canyon cases, a fine, high tensile like silk residue is found on the grass nearby. So that's kind of similar to the wolf spider. When I used to walk down my driveway in Nova Scotia, I would notice the webbing of the wolf spiders, and you can't miss the size of some of these spiders. So they're noticing that. So it's like a dash cam video from a rancher near Drumheller on March 8th shows a blur across the road in 3 frames. When slowed down, the blur resolves into a spindly 5-limbed configuration before vanishing into a ditch. Thermal ghosting in Saskatchewan. Thermal drones used for cattle counting in the St. Louis area have recently captured heat signatures that look like human torsos with too many knees. These signatures appeared the moment they are centered in the frame. The horse thief puncture photo. High resolution photo of a mutilated calf from February 2026 shows a triangular puncture on the neck. Forensic enthusiasts note that the spacing of the holes matches the mouth parts of the spider walker. So these spider humanoids, and that's what I've felt. And in Alberta, Horse Thief Canyon area is currently a high risk zone for fluid extraction type mutilations. Sightings frequency is moving east. Now, I've noticed when I'm looking at readings from right across Canada that because we've had all this magnetic energy, I'm seeing a lot more of these spider humanoids on the East Coast appear. There's security guards seeing them. They're seen in the caves. There's a lot of crevettes down there. They're seen on the shorelines. So it's quite interesting to see just how many there is. And I'd like anybody who sees one, if you can get a picture, fantastic. Be careful. But to the farmers out there, I seriously would consider using some type of anti-bat sonar on your property and anything that spiders don't like. I know it sounds crazy, but they don't like lemon. So perhaps you should get some type of lemon balm and put them around the property just to prevent the spiders from coming in. Get rid of any old barns that you have on your property, any areas where there's tall grass, um, or thickets of bush like the dense willow. Maybe take that down in those areas so that you can see clear. They've got less hiding spots. The less hiding spots they are, the safer your herds are. Consider that. And everybody out there, have a wonderful day, and heads up on the spider humanoids and crawlers, people. We're looking for them. Let's find them.